right, you ready?
Yeah.
In unison?
Yes, let's do it.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome to PHS Garden Mythbusting, where we team up with the experts of the Pennsylvania Horticultural Society to debunk the myths we told ourselves about gardening. I'm Sabrina. I know absolutely nothing about gardening, but I'm here with Cassidy, who does. And today we're talking about gardening without green space. All right, Cassidy, I come into the office and everybody's talking about their gardens and what they grew this weekend. And I live in like this small apartment, so I feel left out. Like I can't be a part of all of the fun that people are having.
You can. So I live in a small city row home, and you can really tackle food growing. You can experiment with flowers and herbs indoors and outdoors with all sorts of materials. You just need a little bit of know-how and a little bit of creativity, but you can definitely do it. So when you don't have accessible green space, you can buy containers and planters from a box store, and you can even recycle containers and tubs that you might have laying around your house.
And what type of containers can I use for that then?
So you can use gallons of milk that are empty and washed out. You can use crates and tubs and line them with a garbage bag. And we'll get into more examples too. So let's look at some planters. So we have 3 different types of planters here. The most important thing about your planter is that it has drainage holes. Drainage holes are super important because as you're watering your plants, that water needs to go somewhere. If it's not draining from the container itself, you can get things that are infecting your plant like fungus, root rot, and weird bacteria will start to grow. Other important things to consider with your containers, whether they're store-bought or you're recycling them, is size and color. With color, things like a black container are going to retain a lot of heat. Think about it. If you jump into your car and you've got black leather seats on a hot summer day, you know you're going to burn yourself, right? This black container is going to be absorbing so much sunlight, so you might need to water more frequently than you would need to with a blue container. You might also want to consider the material itself. I know this is plastic, but it looks like a terracotta pot, so we're gonna use our imagination. Okay. With a terracotta pot, it might be a little cooler than a plastic pot. It's not going to be drying out your soil as much. If your soil's not as dry, you don't have to consider watering it as frequently as you would to plastic containers. Let's talk about the size of the container, because that's going to be super important when it comes to things like growing vegetables. Tomato is a perfect example about having the appropriate size for a container. This is not the biggest tomato plant. It is going to get big. It's really going to need that space to grow healthy roots.
And that's not that bad. Like that can go in the corner of my kitchen.
Another great thing to consider when it comes to container gardening is the surface area that you're working with. So let's go back to this blue container. The tomato plant, because it's still growing, leaves a ton of soil exposed at the top of the container. It's being hit by light and air that are all going to really suck out and draw out the moisture. But an easy solution for that is you can interspace a basil plant by companion planting, because basil and tomatoes are great companion plant. You can help cover more surface area.
So we have our containers. What's next?
Next up is soil. What I would look for specifically is potting soil. Potting soil is going to be nice and light and fluffy. That's totally different from a gardening soil or an indoor houseplant type of mix. You can start your vegetable growing from seed, which might feel a little daunting, but honestly, a seed packet, when you buy it from your local nursery or a big box store, all of the instructions are on the back. You can also shortcut garbage gardening.
What is that?
Yeah, so garbage gardening is using some of your kitchen scraps, green onions, carrots, lettuce to regrow.
And that seems simple, that seems easy, and like actually a little cheap too.
The nice part about it as well is that you're mitigating your food waste. All right, so your confidence is taking you through this season. You might be asking yourself, how do I take this to the next level? How do I supercharge my crops? And a great way to do that is with compost. Compost is just an organic fertilizer, which you can cultivate in your own home, and we'll get to that next time. You would spread it across to the top of your container. Compost is really going to deliver some great nutrients back into the soil that your plants will absorb to give it that extra little bump, that little
All right, so I got my planter, I have my soil, my tomato plants are growing and flourishing and looking all cute. Is there anything else?
I would say as long as you've got healthy, well-maintained soil, keep up on the watering, make sure it's getting that great sunlight. Your plant is going to have everything it needs, and you're as good as gold. Container gardening is a great solution if you have a green thumb but limited space. It's easy and relatively inexpensive to get started. All you'll need to get going are planters, potting soil, and of course plants. Planters can be made with lots of household items. Just make sure to puncture holes for drainage and consider size and color for water retention and spacing needs. You can also buy ready-made planters at your local garden supply center or home improvement store. If you don't have a ton of floor space, think vertically. Window boxes and hanging planters are great for plenty of plants. Soil is going to be an important factor in container gardening. Make sure to purchase potting soil and avoid heavier soils like garden soil. When in doubt, a good all-purpose mix will do. Choose plants based on the amount of sunlight you get. If you're starting with seeds from your local garden supply store, the package should include instructions about sunlight and watering needs. Scraps, seeds, and cuts from produce you already have can be saved to grow more. Companion planting can also help you maximize space. For food growing, you can also bump your harvest by adding organic compost on top of your soil for an extra supercharged layer of nutrients. As long as you're following your plant's specific light, water, and spacing needs, your container garden should thrive.
For more tips and tricks like these, sign up for our newsletter at the link in the description below or visit us at phsonline.org anytime.
And you can share, like, and subscribe.